To be unmuted is to be honest, authentic, and unapologetic with your words.
Being unmuted is also being vulnerable and sharing a part of your identity.
Being comfortable and confident enough in yourself to say what's important to you.
To be unmuted means to be completely and truly yourself.
Standing firmly in your beliefs and allowing your voice to ring and be heard.
Unmuted means being unrestrained emotionally and politically.
Means waking up on a rainy day, yet still whispering poetry into the wind.
Unmuting means turning on our microphones and cranking up the volume to make sure that we are heard all over, because the time has long since passed where we sit around and wait for change to come find us.
Chelsea, you're on mute.
Sorry, have to make sure I stay unmuted. Welcome everyone to tonight's episode of Girls Right Now Live Unmuted. I'm Chelsea Chinetto, a Girls Right Now mentee. Being unmuted to me means to freely express yourself without any restrictions.
And I'm Olivia Smith. I'm Chelsea's mentor, very proud mentor. And to me, unmuted means I can speak my truth generously from the heart and with passion and compassion too for myself and for anybody listening. Chelsea and I are so excited to be your MCs for a night of turning up the volume on boundary-pushing performances from all our amazing mentees and mentors. So prepare to have your world rocked.
For more than 23 years, Girls Right Now has been a leader in arts education as a nationally award-winning nonprofit and the first writing and mentoring organization for girls and gender-expansive teens.
At our spring performance series, we share multimedia, multi-genre work and honor the women authors and media makers who inspire us and help amplify the voices of the next generation of writers and activists. Tonight, we're so excited to have Ashley C. Ford, author of Somebody's Daughter, which I've been reading, it's amazing, joining us as our Agent of Change honoree.
Though this year has been challenging, we at Girls Right Now have forged on virtually. We miss seeing everyone in person, and yet the opportunity to expand our programming with a focus on wellness and racial justice has allowed us to reach thousands of people from across the world. And of course, a pandemic couldn't stop us from publishing our annual anthology, which is out this week. We couldn't have done it without our generous Agent of Change partners, Girls Right Now Circle, dedicated board of directors, phenomenal staff, and all of you, our community and supporters. My virtual experience this year has been hard, not being able to see my mentor in person, but I'm glad that we're still able to connect virtually.
I know, I really miss seeing Chelsea in person too. And we'll share a little more about that in our piece, which you'll see later on tonight. But I still love getting to see Chelsea on our FaceTime and Zoom meetings. And I've been thrilled to get to be a part this year of the amazing Friday night salons that the Girls Right Now team has put together for us. There have been some incredible writers, Britt Bennett, Janice Nomura, and our Saturday workshops. We explore so many different genres. We've done musical theater, digital storytelling, journalism, romance writing, so much fun. All of the performers you'll see tonight have worked so hard with their mentors, meeting virtually every week, and they've put together some really amazing work for you.
Through poetry, essay, and beyond, tonight's pieces share personal experiences with insecurity, identity, and independence, and remind us of the resilience within each of us. You can follow along with the lineup in our virtual program using the link in the chat.
Okay, time to go. Presenting Girls Right Now Live, Unmuted.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here tonight. My name is Vanita and I am a mentor at Girls Right Now. I'm so excited to introduce my mentee Schau tonight, who will be reading a beautiful poem about her travel experiences. Schau is a brilliant and amazing girl who is passionate about film and writing and who cares deeply about making the world a better place. I really hope that you enjoy her performance tonight.
Hey, this piece is called Vossler's Blues, and in each verse we ponder upon the traveler alone in their head overseas. In the end, I hope to leave you with the question, what is home to the traveler? Eyes wide open on the foreigner's oasis. Faces splashed with Vossler's blues. Strips of sunlight fading as we turn west. Shut my eyes closed facing the basin and tilt my head up for a kiss from the sun. Invisible string tugging on my toe. Cue the retreat from the refuge. Gaze at the profiles of strangers, the lines, the wrinkles, the faded hues, glowing under one pale moon, journeying round and round. Look for a reflection in the water to find rippling waves and perpetual sky. Pause for a drink from the present, but my throat lingers dry. Eyes forward and wide, snap a picture, memorialize it forever. The last meal, hourglass dwindling.
Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. My name's Sarah Custon, and I'm a mentor to Adele Schau. When I first met Adele, I was worried I wouldn't be able to help her because she already has all of the attributes of a great writer: natural talent, dedication, and a genuine concern for causes affecting her generation and all of us. However, it's been lovely to watch our relationship bloom and grow. So without further ado, I present Roots by Adele Schau.
Hi, my name's Adele, and today I'm going to be performing a shortened version of my piece called Roots. Roots is a personal essay about my identity and my experiences as a Chinese girl who was born and raised in New York. As a little girl, I used to envision seeds within myself, tiny kernels of life drifting in from a familiar but unknown motherland, stretching miles and oceans away. My origins were formed by scattered fragments of my mother's looks, my father's expectations, and my potential. They became embedded in my identity, something that I could never try to separate myself from. Seeds are nothing without nurturing and a place to grow. This is the reason for my parents' immigration, their choice to embrace dreams of the unknown and chase a life that would never truly belong to them. America will never be a place for people like my parents who stumble and trip on the English language. It will never be a place where their daughter will ever grow and truly belong. Even if I was born here, planted with a purpose, this place will always be foreign ground. I was watered with my parents' expectations for a perfect daughter, raised hearing strung together syllables of broken English and rapid Mandarin. I spent hours studying, striving for faraway perfection. A perfect daughter willingly holds her chopsticks high and keeps her head bowed down low, mouth shut and face devoid of emotion. But in the end, Chinese bedrock was tainted by American soil. My identity grew into twisted roots that branched out into faltering possibilities. And as I walked these unsteady paths, I found escape. Escape from endless expectations and a world where I could dream of becoming anything. But I was lost at sea in between an American dream and my alleged motherland, both of which I couldn't live without. Now I look within myself and find tangling, gnarled roots that have raveled into a thick, solid tree trunk. Spindly arms pierce skin and paint my flesh brilliant shades of red, strangling and suffocating me until I have lost myself. No longer rooted in an American dream or a Chinese motherland, I am tethered to nothingness, reduced to crumpled red calendars and forgotten dreams that drift like dead leaves, leaving my collapsing being behind. Thank you.
My name is Lippy Raghunathan, and my mentee is Lamia Ramon. She just got into Case Western University, and she will be studying English to pursue writing. And she is an amazing poet and a very creative and awesome writer. So I'm super excited to see what she ends up doing in college and also after college, because I know she's going to achieve a lot of really, really great things.
Hi, my name is Lamia, and my piece is titled Things I Couldn't Tell You, Pieces from an Incomplete Love Story. This is a collection of poems I have written over the years, and they feature themes of love, loss, and grief. I hope you enjoy. I will now be reading an excerpt from my collection of poems, Things I Couldn't Tell You, Pieces from an Incomplete Love Story. I hope you enjoy. Part 5, When I Began to Heal. I will tell you a story of when I found myself the most beautiful. I was at my lowest, having been strung out of tears, my voice strained and gone, my body weak and fatigued, my hair drenched with tears or sweat or drool, my clothes rumpled. When I finally composed myself, I looked at the mirror, and the person I see felt almost uninvited, but not unwelcome. She was a maniacal joke. She didn't look vulnerable or fragile, even with her soft lips. And although she had frazzled hair and bruised cheeks, with her glossed over reddened eyes, she was resilient. This isn't a travesty, and I refuse to lie to you. With sincerity, it felt like the universe gave me a present. Here, you went through the worst of it. You survived. See how luminous you are. Having fall out of that, you got this. I wish I could see this particular beauty less, but my comfort lies in the most arbitrary entities. Thank you.
I'm KK Apple, writer, comedian, mentor, and I am thrilled to introduce my mentee, Chelsea Yan, who is a graduating senior. As a pair, we dove into the scary/exciting world of college applications. We wrote new poems and short stories, and our weekly Zoom was the best Zoom meeting of my week. I am so proud of how hard Chelsea worked in a virtual year, all with a beautiful sense of humor. I can't wait to see what she does next.
My fictional piece, titled Pale Pale Fire, is a mashup of the Chinese zodiac and the saying, "A cat has 9 lives." In this excerpt, the protagonist shares her 8 encounters with death, either physically or emotionally, with a humorous tone. There is no cat in the Chinese zodiac, yet I am convinced that I am a cat. I have 9 lives. Death 1, age 2. Choked on the cauliflower Lily left on the dining table. When Lily tried to flag down a rickshaw, the drivers pedaled away as soon as they could, seeing a screaming lady carrying a purple-faced child, begging for a ride to the hospital. Oh, that poor last driver who didn't get away in time. The doctors declared death after my breathing stopped for 20 minutes. When I came back to life, they never found the cauliflower. Death 2, age 4. Fell off the balcony of a 3-story building. 3 ribs and a collarbone. Death 3, age 5. Fell into a muddy puddle while biking. The puddle must have been an abyss in disguise, for it was much deeper than I imagined. Technically, I did not die, but my heart did when nobody came looking for me. Death 4, age 7. Drowned in Auntie's swimming pool while Lily was cutting watermelon. Auntie declared, even if she wakes up, she will be a vegetable. The doctors agreed without agreeing. Death 5, age 10. Poisoned by a slice of raw fish. In the haziness of death, the doctors recognized me as the cauliflower girl. Death 6, age 12. So they did find the cauliflower, just in weird places. An intense surgery that featured many machines beeping faster and faster, all muting and beating arithmetically again. Death 7, age 14. A wrist and a visit to the emergency psychiatric ward. Death 8, age 16. Took AP Physics. Fortunately or unfortunately, there is no resolution. I am still waiting for Death 9. Meow. Thank you for listening.
My name is Julia Carpenter, and I'm super excited to introduce my mentee, Amoya Evans. Amoya will be reading one of the poems she wrote during our weekly pair session. We've pivoted to doing the sessions on FaceTime, but I'm super proud of all that Amoya has been able to accomplish this year. Dancing, violin playing, writing wonderfully funny poems about dogs on the subway. All of it is super inspiring to me. I'm excited for you all to hear Amoya's piece. Congratulations, Amoya!
Hello, my name's Amoya Evans. I'm 15 years old and I'll be reading a poem that I wrote titled Central Park. Rows of lamplights beam across the water and all through the dark. Surrounding me are lamps among the trees, but they are only fireflies flickering through the darkness. The dark sky after sunset against the building, the wind howling, the bike bells ringing when I misstep. The bareness of the lawns bring me to a stop. No more towels, no more crowds. I walk into the darkness as the fireflies lead the way.
Lucia, 17, sits across from the equity counselor at a long boardroom table in a rather warm room. Lucia has dark thick hair that sits on her shoulders, big brown eyes that scream "help me," and a scar running down from her left cheekbone to her lower lip that she tries to hide with her hair. For several weeks, Lucia has been distant and distressed and eventually stops coming to school. After confiding that to recent family issues resulting in arguments and even physical altercations, she was referred to EQUI, a renowned facility that specializes in emotional equilibrium. The EQUI counselor, a particularly feminine and petite woman with light skin and platinum blonde hair, stared directly at Lucia with piercing blue eyes.
Can you tell me more about your family?
Well, I live with my mom, my 15-year-old sister Valerie, and my 7-year-old sister Isabella.
Oh, so you're the oldest. How would you describe your relationship with your family?
I love them so much, but I don't really want to get into that.
Lucia, I understand, but know that I just want to help you, and if you would only let me in, I could do that.
I appreciate it, I really do, but I don't think I'm ready to go into detail about my family and personal life.
Okay, so how about instead of voicing your feelings to me, you write them down and I won't be able to see it. Does that sound like something you'll be able to do?
The counselor passes Lucia a piece of paper and a pen. Lucia starts writing and floods the page with her frustration, sadness, and anger. The counselor focuses on Lucia with a creepy grin on her face. Lucia looks up and the grin disappears.
Is something wrong, Lucia?
A mysterious banging sound disrupts Lucia's concentration. What was that?
I'm sure it's nothing. It's probably just the pipes. Why don't you go back to writing?
Lucia returns to the paper and continues to write.
Lucia, if you don't mind me asking, how did you get your scar?
Lucia looks up from the paper and touches her scar. She gets flashbacks of the night she got it. Red and green flashes blur Lucia's vision as she starts breathing hard and sobs uncontrollably. The sound of a high puts her out of her trance.
What happened? I lost you for a second.
I just, I heard a scream. What's going on out there?
I'm sure it's nothing. No, please, I don't want to die.
That doesn't sound like nothing. I need to help her.
I guess I can't stop you.
A man comes out from an office room and throws a girl over his shoulder. He pulls out a phone and dials a number.
Boss, I got another one. Bring her down.
Lucia runs in the opposite direction away from the mysterious man. She continues down the hallway and comes across other individuals who have encountered the same fate as their girl she left behind. The counselor sees Lucia run and takes out her phone.
She's heading to the West Wing. Retrieve her for me, please. Unharmed, of course.
Lucia runs into a dark corner where she encounters the counselor. What the hell is going on here? Who are you people? Lucia runs into a dark corner where she encounters the counselor.
Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney, and I'm thrilled to introduce my amazing mentee, Dominique. Dom and I have been friends for 2 years now, and while at this point most of our hangouts have been virtual, getting to talk and write and laugh together has been a bright spot in a very weird year. She is so outrageously smart, and I have loved watching her create in all different kinds of formats, from screenplays to poems, horror stories to delicious baked goods. I can't wait to keep watching her shine during her freshman year at Columbia next year. Take it away, Dominique.
Thank you, Courtney. And hi, everybody. I'm Dominique.
I grew up in the British Virgin Islands and I loved going to the beach as a child, and I still do. But January was always a dreary time of year because I was unable to go swimming since the ocean always got colder in the winter. I wanted to write a poem that personified the cold of the sea and the danger associated with swimming in it when it was too cold, so I wrote On the Beach in January, and I'm going to read it to you now. On the Beach in January. From seething ocean to frothy white sea, over crusting, thunderous, warring waves, round the sharpest crags through seething rage she rose from silt clouds and victims' water graves. She blew Arctic winds, her lips blue as ice, her eyes unfeeling storms spilt somber tears. She belts shrieks of hail, wailing, crying thrice, "Come here, wade near here, hear me, help me, dear." In sunset's burnt glow, sweet empathy led me away from the safety of the shore. Waves blushing a wonderful hue of red, crashing the shore, their flames through my skin tore, flames and ice drowned me, clawing at my soul. Cold, cruel witch was she, my lifeblood she stole.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Greger. I'm a first-year mentor, and I've been honored to get to know Michelle over the past year as she's worked through the college admissions process, discovering campuses, programs, and cities she's excited about. We've had fun writing about food, journaling, and telling stories with only 100 words. Now I'll pass it over to Michelle.
So today I'll be sharing a little about my piece, Unleashing My Inner Monster. This piece was inspired by one of the girl talks I had with my mentor a while ago. We initially wanted to approach this as a lighthearted, cheerful poem to personify our hidden monsters, but I couldn't get past the 4 words. So we decided to write in prose and to talk about media depiction and cultural complexities behind body image and womanhood as a whole. Unleashing my inner monster. Trigger warning. Body image and fat phobia. I reached to grab the rainbow-sprinkled chocolate cupcake before sensing the all-too-familiar beady glare. I freeze. My insides tense up, and it feels as if long spears protrude from my skin, turning me into a monster. Her delicate fingers linger around my forearm, when the next split second, curving into my squishy flesh. I jolt, and then remembered, oh, it's my mom. I watch in slow motion as the cupcake lifted into the air before taking a crash, frosting first, onto the greasy kitchen floor. Gushing in anger and disbelief, I looked her in the eye. But with no trace of laughter or even a smile, she turned and whispered, "Good, you probably shouldn't eat that anyways." In a world where beauty tops all else, women strive towards perfecting themselves to fit into the status quo of American beauty, all while alienating those who look any less than perfection. It then becomes second nature to judge and compare those who are different from us rather than stepping back to understand their stories and support their endeavors. As Americans, we welcome uniqueness and individualism, but not when it comes to deciding what a woman's body should look like. Thank you.
Hello, Girls Right Now Live. My name is Stephanie Cohen Perez, and I am so excited to be introducing you to my wonderful mentee, Kayla Morgan. Meeting with Kayla over the past year has honestly been the highlight of every single one of my weeks. I'm so inspired by her writing and also just the way she carries herself in everyday life. I'm really pleased that you'll be able to get to experience her work for yourself today. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Kayla.
Today, I've been performing my original piece titled My Mother's Allegiance. In this poem, I decided to explore how the lack of advocacy for immigrants has impacted my mother. I was always intrigued by how poets would use well-known texts and morph them to convey a universal message. I settled on the Pledge of Allegiance, as it is ubiquitous and deemed as how we convey our loyalty to our country. I hope that this poem moves you to advocate for the many immigrants in your home and beyond. My mother had recited the pledge, till her throat bled of eternal loyalty, hand on heart, devoted to the land of liberty. Ancestral faith and future days binded to her words, presented Uncle Sam with a salute. Bittersweet tears for salvation, the hollering of her heartbeats, and longing for a sanctuary had already settled in her eyes like a refugee camp. She bleached the patwa off her tongue, intertwined English with survival, threw her curry chicken and oxtail on a funeral pyre, the burning smell of the decaying food stifling her lineage. So pressed the kinky coals out of her Africana strands. She lost her roots, earned a savor of privilege. Echoes of "I surrender" ascending from her Jamaican wounds on one hand. Prayers, neon brown head down bent to the red stripes on the other. My mother couldn't hear the barking, barbaric, uncivilized savage, spewing like saliva, emerging from Uncle Sam's peace treaty. Her frantic footsteps fleeing to the white stars were too thundering.
Wow, that was really touching. Thank you so much for sharing. We've got lots more work for you tonight, but now please give a warm digital welcome to tonight's agent of change, Ashley C. Ford. Ashley is a writer, host, and educator who lives in Indianapolis, Indiana, with her husband, poet, and fiction writer Kelly Stacy, and their chocolate lab, Astro Renegade Ford Stacy. Her memoir, Somebody's Daughter, will be published by Flatiron Books on June 1st. She has been named among Forbes magazine's 30 Under 30 in Media, Brooklyn Magazine's Brooklyn 100, and has been a long-time Girls Right Now champion. She wrote a beautiful foreword to our 2018 anthology.
Ashley, in line with our theme tonight, we have just one question for you, which is, how do you unmute yourself in your work and in your life?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley C. Ford. I am a writer, podcast host, and an interviewer, and sometimes an editor. I have a lot of jobs, and I think that might be why I was asked to answer the question, how do I unmute myself in life and in work? So I should start by saying that I've never been particularly good at muting myself, at least not in public. I have always been a person who, when I felt like something was wrong, I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to speak up about it, whether or not I felt empowered by the adults around me to do so. So I didn't think I had an issue with muting myself. I thought nobody's gonna say whatever they want to say to me. Nobody's gonna do whatever they want to do to me, or they're gonna have to deal with me. And then I got older and I realized that that wasn't always true. I realized that as unmuted as I could be with strangers out in the world, in my private life, in my personal life, with people I loved and liked, sometimes I found it really, really hard to speak up about how I was feeling. And the reason I muted myself in those situations and not in the other ones was because I loved these people. And because I thought that there was something about me, something big or bad or useless or ugly about me that would hurt them if I shared how I was feeling, if I shared that I was angry or unhappy. And then I found out that by not sharing what was going on inside of me, I was actually keeping something from my friends and from people who wanted to love me. And what I was keeping from them was me. All of me that is beautiful and lovely and worthy of love, just like you. Just like you and you and you and you. Don't mute yourselves with the people you love. Let them know what's going on with you. Let them see you and love all of you. You deserve it, and they deserve the chance. Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to talk to you so soon.
Well, that was such an amazing speech and such a great reminder that if you're not really being open and honest and sharing yourself with people you love, you're creating distance, and you're not really giving them the real you. I mean, I can't think of a more important thing to remind us all of as writers and as people. What do you think, Chelsea?
Her speech definitely reminded me of one amazing quote by Ta-Nehisi Coates that states, "You are growing into consciousness, and my wish for you is that you feel no need to constrict yourself to make other people comfortable." I think that it's really important to always be yourself. And I think that everything she said was valid, because sometimes you feel like you want to be unmuted in certain situations, and in others, you don't want to feel muted. I mean, you do want to be muted because you don't want to make anyone uncomfortable and you don't want to make yourself uncomfortable. But I think it's definitely true that you need to be yourself at all times, and it's not always easy to get out of your comfort zone. And I feel like this program definitely helped me get out of my comfort zone, because I think getting out of your comfort zone is the only way you truly grow and change and learn more about yourself. And so being able to write with you and being able to be your MC is me coming out of my comfort zone and learning more about myself. And so I definitely appreciate what this program has done for me.
So this is now my 5th year with Girls Right Now, and Chelsea is my 3rd and amazing mentee. And I just feel so lucky to get to be part of this community. I've heard so much amazing work and met so many fantastic people. If you're feeling inspired tonight by our community, now's your chance to join us. You can visit girlsrightnow.org/enroll to apply to be a mentor or a mentee, or to sign up for an open house and just learn more about the organization. And you can also support us at girlsrightnow.org/give, or by ordering a copy of our 2021 anthology, Girls Right Now Unmuted. And you can do that by visiting girlsrightnow.org/book.
And now we've got lots more performances on the way tonight. Here they are.
I'm Avery Carpenter-Forey, and I've been working with my mentee, Christine Yan, for 2 years. During this time, it's been incredible to watch her grow and explore her love of photography, entrepreneurship, technology, and writing, and how all of them intersect. In the before times, we'd meet for coffee and free write, and now our weekly calls keep us grounded and in tune with each other and our creative spirits. I am so excited to watch what Christine does next, and hope you enjoy this presentation.
Thank you for the warm introduction, Avery. Since last year, many of us have found ourselves listening to podcasts, whether we're on a drive or just multitasking at home. During our weekly calls, Avery and I often exchanged recommendations. We were both fascinated with the psychology behind the masterminds of scams throughout history and wanted to explore that for our project. And so we created this trailer for what would be our podcast called Trick or Treat. We hope you enjoy our piece.
Welcome to Trick or Treat, a podcast where you'll learn about scams, cons, and the artists behind them. Those are your tricks.
Plus a little treat at the end of every episode to satisfy your sweet tooth.
With your hosts, Avery Carpenter-Forey
and Christine Yan.
We'll talk about people and scandals like Bernie Madoff,
Anna Delvey,
Fire Festival,
Elizabeth Holmes,
Rick Singer,
and Sylvia Brown.
What drove these people to lie?
Were they so deluded that they believed their own cons?
And are we all complicit in making them famous?
Those are some of the questions. Through these stories, we might find some answers.
We'll bring you the context behind the headlines.
Remember reading about New York City's fake heiress and the greatest music festival that never happened?
And there will be blood. Theranos blood.
Come for the tricks and stay for the treats.
See you here every Thursday, unless this podcast is also a scam.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and I've been a mentor with Girls Right Now for the past 4 years. Tonight, it is my great honor to introduce my mentee, Sue. Sue is a senior in high school and soon-to-be college student. She's also an aspiring filmmaker with a passion for telling stories that make you think twice about what you know about the world and about humanity. Although we've never met in person, thank you, pandemic, I've been so lucky to get to know her voice as a creative and an activist over the past 7 months. I think you will be just as moved by her words and her work as I have been.
As a woman. As a New Yorker, I'm used to the constant stares, the looks given from afar, and maybe a couple glares. What in the world is she wearing? Is that her real hair? As a New Yorker, I've had my fair share of being driven to fear I'd get snatched, or was it because I'm a woman and I was out without a man? As a woman, I'm used to the word slut. That slutty dress she had on, of course she was asking for it. Asking for it was written on his lips when no was written all over hers. But no, it's okay to touch, isn't it? That Fashion Nova dress said to dig her filthy hands in her panties. Wait, and her shoes said too, have her scream saying no. But her dress said yes, right? Her slutty dress said yes, right? As a woman, I understand what it's like to walk down a street in fear a man would not take no as an answer. I live in fear that there wouldn't even be a question, just take it and smile after. As a woman, when I walk down the street, I hear men telling me how I'm supposed to feel. You need to smile more, says the man who drinks beer at 2 p.m. Wonderful, I'll smile more. As a New Yorker, taking the train is stressful as it is. Which one is my stop? Geez, I'm lost once again. As a woman, the train is where he is. In a crowded car full of those who look for a miniskirt to come and grab. You look lost, let me help you find your way, he says with his hands in his pants. But I have common sense, I keep my head down, don't look him in the eyes, that'll give him the right to pry. As a woman, I'm told it's our word against theirs. They said it didn't happen, or maybe I got drunk and I forgot my consent. What were you wearing? Did you flirt with him that night? You looked like you had a lot to drink. Are you sure it was rape? That's the word we don't use, right? Rape? What's that? Isn't that when a woman accuses a man of assault to get his money? Or maybe she said it to get attention. I always knew she wanted attention. Rape? Well, we aren't really taught that word. But hey, in case of a bad situation comes, here's a whistle. Blow when you can. No one will hear you because he'll have his hand over your mouth. But hey, here's a whistle. Maybe this will help. As a woman, I'm told to keep my mouth shut. Rape is a word you barely use because sex for you is a game you choose. You say when and you say where. You say all the words that I don't want to hear. As a woman, I'm ashamed of the way that we view each other. We throw around the word whore. How could you let these men take you down, then take down another woman? She waited 10 years to say he raped her. She didn't wait. She was broken and tried to heal, and in those 10 years, she still couldn't breathe, but she spoke up in a courtroom full of men. Rape? What is that? Didn't you consent? Wasn't he your boyfriend? Wasn't it in your bed? But she said no that night. He hit her twice. No one seemed to believe that. As a woman, I'm scared.
Hi, I'm Lindy Corman, and I've been working with Akiko Jindo, my mentee, for the past year. It was clear from the start that Akiko loved writing poetry, that she was prolific, her writing was filled with fascinating allusions and images, and that I, a fiction writer, was at a loss to respond. As a result, we agreed to set up dual pair sessions with another mentor-mentee pair in hopes of obtaining more useful feedback. There were many wonderful things that came out of these sessions, including the poem Akiko is about to read. I think this poem illustrates Akiko's wonderful ability to melt global issues, empathy for others, and the personal and playful in her writing.
Hi, I'm Akiko. I've been a mentee for a year. At a double pair session, we read a poem called American Income, which essentially depicts the long history of African Americans being oppressed through a series of metaphors. I was inspired by the line, fish on the ends of lines that become whales, which illustrates the process in which problems become heavier and heavier, that they become entirely unbearable. The poem I wrote is called Whale Well and covers a range of problems that occur day to day. It begins on a very individual, minuscule level and zooms out to cover world problems. So, Whale Well, Monday, whispered I'm okays, minute-long yawns, under-eye luggage, from trips to unwanted flashback resorts with flat pillows. Tuesday, withheld secrets, avoidance of eye contact. Her contacts twinkle in permanent violets of leave me alones. Wednesday, picking at pickled delicacies. Mom's cooking tasting so foreign. The loud little people chasing each other around, like press offices and Times Square streets, an incessant and unbearable chaos. Thursday, deeper dents in the lockers across mine. Screams resonate and stolen lunch monies lie scattered on the floor. We'll deal with it. Fretting parents with cut-off wallets and their toes not reaching the ground on the M4 bus like their dusty 5-year-old selves. Utter helplessness for themselves and others. Friday, piled Coke cans and clutters of old Christmas gifts. The cars zooming carefree while they leave their deadly residue. Browned waters to match the soil, an unwanted sort of harmony. The ozone layer falls to bits like the plaster on that ceiling. Saturday, pencil stops in place as the bottom of an undying Kindle has been found. 24/7 has been maxed out, and yet there's no brown bag of lunch. Her arm's existence means society will crush her down, while the only 1% she'll ever attain is the one on her chemistry test. Sunday, third class, third world, a problem stemmed in greediness and the loss of the sixth sense, morality. The embers in the orphan child's emerald eyes no longer glistening. Even the tears have dried, leaving a single salt grain. The world has grown too heavy, like earth whales. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danielle Mazio, and I'm thrilled to introduce Shayla Astudillo. Shayla and I are both in our first years with Girls Right Now as mentee and mentor, and we've been working on a lot of different kinds of writing together, including a ton of poetry, a memoir that Shayla submitted for publication, and a new idea for a short story. So we're excited to share our pair piece with you all today.
Danielle and I created a poem where our lines were interchangeable. So I wrote the first line, and then she wrote the next one, and then I the next one, and we kept on doing this pattern until we felt comfortable with where the piece was. And when deciding on how to present the piece, we actually read each other's lines. So I read hers and she read mine. The title of the piece is called Presence, and I hope that you get what you need from it.
Maybe it's time you hear my voice. A warning is needed. It will ring through your body.
Like bells pealing through a still morning, waking you with a call to revelation or reckoning.
It's just too bad you called for an exit. I was not listening. I was much too loud.
We are together, in the shadow of my voice, behind the eclipse of my sound. Stay with me.
Or maybe go. You will become aware of my fears, and for that I can't let you revel here.
My fears sit with me, small mushrooms I might pluck after sundown, if I need poison.
Hopefully it'll do the trick. If not, then you better hide, darling.
My bells, my sound, my voice is coming.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Dare, a journalist and editor living in Brooklyn, and I'm here to introduce my mentee, Sandra Chia, a 16-year-old student living in Flushing, Queens. It has been a pleasure getting to know Sandra virtually this year, and our sessions have been filled with so much laughter, talk about TikTok, food, and gems in her neighborhood. I've been in awe of her commitment and passions outside Girls Right Now, including the organization Dear Global Girls, coding and economics, and studying abroad. I could say so much more, but I will let her take it away for now, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Natalie, and hi everyone. My piece reflects my experiences as one of the few Asian Americans at my predominantly white middle school. highlighting my day-to-day commute and how it shaped my identity. Oxford Languages describes middle school as a school intermediate between an elementary school and a high school. Little did I know my daily route to a small, predominantly white school would provoke years of internal conflicts. It wasn't just a difference in socioeconomic backgrounds between my hometown of Flushing, Queens, where I live with my Malaysia-born mother and older sister, and the Upper East Side, one of New York's most desired neighborhoods. On my commute, I saw mothers frantically holding their children as they tried to sell fruit and churros to nearby commuters, and women running to catch their 6 a.m. buses, barely making time to eat breakfast. As I traveled to the Upper East Side, I saw my neighbors' livelihoods and hard work, the sweat and tears of working 9 to 5s. My days began with my daily AM New York newspaper, while riding the Overground 7 train and watching over the morning sunrise. After a lengthy 20-minute express ride from the first stop, Flushing Main Street Station, to almost the last, Times Square, I get off and head towards the Q train. On the Q train, people pushed, shoved, and yelled to get others off and their acquaintances on. At about 72nd Street, though, you could finally stand or find a seat to breathe. It felt rather calm and peaceful after minutes, which felt like hours, of being packed like Poland Spring bottles in a case. A train commute, my neighbors, and even my middle school played a huge role in developing my story. From a New York perspective, taking the train was more than just a way to get to school. It was a daily reminder of my life, my differences, and the extra effort I had to put in each morning. To label these differences as weaknesses is false. While they felt like barriers in the beginning, enduring and adapting to these changes helped me realize that they were my strengths. They made me a strong, independent girl from Flushing, Queens. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce my mentee, Chelsea Chinedo. Her family's originally from Nigeria, and she lives in the Bronx, where she's now in her junior year of high school. And in addition to being a superstar student and a creative force, she is also an incredibly caring person, and she's really been an amazing source of support for me during this difficult year. Our weekly meetings always put a big smile on my face, and for this and for so many other reasons, I feel so lucky to get to know her and to work with her.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Hi, everyone. I Love It One is inspired by the things that we love and miss, especially during the pandemic, and things that definitely never going to take for granted. Kind of started off with the things we love, the things we miss, and then, of course, missing each other and imagining what it'd be like for each other during this pandemic. And we kind of wanted to touch on it in a positive light, and so I hope you guys really love it.
I miss getting hugs from so many people I love.
I miss going on spontaneous adventures with family and friends. I miss ice skating.
I miss dance class. I miss seeing an outdoor concert surrounded by a crowd of strangers.
I miss eating at my favorite Japanese restaurant, watching the fire rise while I eat, and the chef throwing the food in the air, yet placing it so nicely on my plate.
I miss sitting in a cafe, reading and watching other people drink their coffee.
I miss meeting new people at events.
I miss sitting on a friend's couch, feeling the glow of being in their company.
I miss sharing a chocolate chip cookie with you after a long day of school.
I miss chatting together while walking to the subway and stopping for bubble tea along the way.
I miss spending time with my teachers after school.
I miss school, friends, hallways crowded with students, hanging around after class. I miss subway rides into the city and sweet, milky tea with chewy boba. Crowded church pews and singing, and my grandmother, I imagine Chelsea saying, what does she imagine are the things that I miss the most? How does she picture my life from a double distance, now twice removed?
I miss watching plays, hanging out with my friends, traveling. I miss iced coffee, long walks at the park when the weather is good. How is her life so put together? What is it like constantly writing about a pandemic? I don't know how she does it, but she does it with ease. I didn't know this would come.
Me neither. No one did. Last time I saw you, we shared a cookie and talked and wrote, and I drank tea. I had no idea I wouldn't sit next to you again for more than a year.
Everyone's life changed.
Drastically.
In a blink of an eye.
in a single heartbeat.
Love the out. I miss it.
But Chelsea?
Yes, Olivia?
Always
appreciate,
because
you never know.
You got it, Chelsea.
Hi everyone, my name is Vossler, and this year I had the pleasure of being Philomena Baker's mentor in Girls Right Now. Philomena is a pleasure to work and to write with, and tonight she'll be reading A Flighty Piece, which is a short story that is a part of the same universe of the novel that she's currently working on. Everybody give it up for Philomena.
A bird squawks above a woman, and she startles from where she gazes off at a cliff's edge, head turning to find a weapon to throw at the bird, but pauses as she stares into its eyes. It squawks again, and then it's gone. She gets to her feet, staring at the horizon one last time until rushing to scramble up a nearby boulder, remembering the battle along the cliff's edge miles away. She mutters a curse to God she wishes she had believed in more. She watches, her mind wandering. She remembers her partner throwing hands and pushing for war around the table in a tent as she herself calls for peace. Her own defiant posture as she refuses to fight, her partner grasping at her hand, begging her to follow them. "You're our leader," her partner says in the memory. "You have to come." She refuses, for she would rather stare at the sky than watch more people die. "Then you abandon us." They spit at her and walk away. This could have all been avoided, she thinks, and then her breath catches, her mind pulls away from her memories. For far away, her partner gets pinned to the ground, resisting, spitting in their killer's face, only screaming for her when the axe stopped their head. She vomits on the stone beside her. After a shaky breath and a howl of pain, she leaps off the rock and starts to run and run and run, until she's panting and staring at the bloody, mangled faces, split heads, and teared open bodies that is the battlefield. Flying blades skid her skin as she maneuvers through the fighting, only stopping when she reaches her lover's broken body. The single-seated armband she'd given them is the only indicator it's them, their faces cleaved in half. She gasps at the edge of their mangled face, but remembers the last time she saw her partner. She stands resolute against the horizon. They plead. She laughs at their stupidity. They grasp her hand. She slaps their face. They walk away. She yanks her hands away, sobbing. She doesn't deserve for her hands to be so soft now when they hadn't been before. Doesn't deserve to mourn. She hiccups, looking around, and laughs with tears in her eyes. No one approaches her. If anyone would just kill her, the head of the hawk, there would be no beak to eat the carcass, and the battle would be over. She looks over the cliff's edge, a squawk in the distance. She glances down at their corpse, and fury rises, at herself, at everyone around them. She would end the fight. Her partner would be avenged, and she would be free. She grabs the spear in her dead partner's hand, and with a smile cuts a path to the fighting, proud that she mustered the courage to do what her partner had died for, finally ending the war. Grabbing hold of the leader of the enemy tribe from behind, she holds a spear up to his throat. He gasps, and she snarls. The warriors around them watch with wide eyes. She glances at the cliff's edge once again, so far away, but she can almost feel the breeze. "Come close, and I kill him," she shouts. Some look on with pride, her own tribesmen, and others cast upturned brows and snarls. The smell of piss permeates the air. She hates everyone around her. Still, holding the spear up to his throat, she shuffles the leader through the crowd, which parts like fire sizzling on leaves. No one attacks from far behind, but though it be easy to. The fellow leader meets her gaze, a question. She nods. He laughs up at the sky. At the edge, the horizon looms. A bird circles above before swooping down to the shores below, and she follows it, tipping them both over the edge. As they scream, the air rushes past their ears. As they hold on tight to one another, she knows he feels the same as she does when they crash into the rocks below. The fighting above stops, perhaps indefinitely, perhaps not. Some drop their weapons as they stare, some sob, and the two birds swoop through the air, emerging from where the tribe leaders had fallen. Together they fly, and everyone watching falls to the floor in awe.
Hi, my name is Kayla Thurwer, and my amazing mentee is Anais Fernandez. When we first met, I couldn't believe how many similarities we had. We are both New York transplants, love theater and poetry, and are part of the LGBTQ+ community. From the start, we really just clicked and have had a truly collaborative relationship. I love working with Anais. Her thoughts are innovative and curious, which translates directly to the page, as you'll soon witness in her excellent poem, A Passenger's Library.
It was October when I went back to school. Like most of the country, I hadn't been inside my school building since March, and I was nervously anticipating what it would be like to be back. But what I didn't anticipate was how it felt to take the train again in 7 months. My commute was my favorite part of going to school in the morning, and when my usual subway car was devoid of the faces I used to know, it hit me harder than I expected. As such, my first train ride was spent writing in my notes app and reconciling with the loss of something I didn't realize I held so closely in the first place. This is A Passenger's Library. The faces on this train used to tell stories. Good stories. Stories like the ones passed down from our mothers. Stories that feel like speeding through space, or maybe through a darkened subway tunnel. The faces on this train used to tell stories with all the figurative language my English teacher could ask for. I could find similes in their smiles, metaphors in their mouths, imagery right behind their eyes, and always irony. tucked into the corners of their lips. Sad stories. Stories of cold nights and not enough to wear, stories that sound like clinking coins in cups. Stories printed in black and white, flipped through and left behind for the next person. Loud stories, stories of boombox bass and beat up baseball caps, stories that start with, "It's showtime, folks," and read like limber limbs on steel poles. The seats on this train used to tell stories. Stories of lost things, umbrellas and metro cards, mittens and hats. They say that one man's trash is another man's treasure, and I imagine that if all the lost things on the subway were turned into illustrations, they would create the most beautiful picture book. The bodies on this train used to tell stories. In the summer they would shine, and in the winter they would disappear only to come out again too early, forgetting that the snow always has the best April Fool's Day trick up its sleeve. The subway was my favorite library. No overdue policy, and the shelves were always stocked, but never the same. I treated the threshold between the platform and train car floor like a steel-bound front cover, and when the man tells me to stand clear of the closing doors, it sounds like a dedication. The faces on this train are few now, covered and concealed by a cloth veil. I know that behind the mask, there is still a story, but for now, all the titles are the same. Keep breathing.
We all really want to get on that train with Anais, and like her, we're all really looking forward to the time when we can be unmasked as well as unmuted.
For sure, Olivia. But there are times to mute yourself. We'd like to invite all of you to join us for a moment of silence to honor the victims and those affected by racial injustice in this country and the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. There are also times when we want to get loud, so please join us now in thanking all of our essential workers and all the fierce advocates and activists for justice out there. To keep the love going, let's hear it for tonight's performers. Wherever you are, give them a round of applause. What incredible work they shared tonight with us.
We also want to thank you, our generous agent of change partners, our Girls Right Now Circle, our dedicated board of directors and staff, our talented mentors and mentees, and everyone who tuned in to watch.
If you feel moved by the pairs and pieces you saw tonight, you can make a donation at girlsrightnow.org/give or join the circle at girlsrightnow.org/circle.
And if you want more creativity and community in your life, you can apply to be a Girls Right Now mentee or mentor by visiting girlsrightnow.org/enroll. The first application deadline is coming up on May 31st, just 10 days away.
Our next episode of Girls Right Now Live is on Friday, June 11th with honoree Imbolo Mbue, author of How Beautiful We Were and Behold the Dreamers.
You are also invited to join us on Friday, June 18th for Journeys of Hope and Love, a night celebrating the Girls Right Now class of 2021. There will be special guest speakers like Tayari Jones and Edwidge the Anticat, and the world premiere of a Girls Right Now short film directed by P. Monet. It's going to be an amazing night.
Thank you once again to our performer pairs for sharing their incredible stories and letting us behind the scenes of the process of creating them.
Good night, take good care, and we hope to see you again soon.